Move on now to the escalating tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela, and new reports tonight that a CIA drone strike was behind an attack on a port facility inside Venezuela. President Trump sharing few details about the operation, but it comes as the U.S. military carried out another deadly strike on an alleged drug boat in the Eastern Pacific. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang.
Tonight, a dramatic escalation in the U.S. pressure campaign against Venezuela involving the country's top spy agency. The CIA reportedly carrying out a drone strike on a dock allegedly used by the gang Tren de Aragua to transport drugs overseas. According to the New York Times and CNN, they reported no one was on the dock or killed during the attack last week. Overnight, the president sharing new details about the operation.
There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs.
Welcome to the video, everyone. This is Justin Paul. I'm doing a reaction here to a couple news clips where reports are that there was a drone strike carried out by the CIA in Venezuela on a port where they're supposedly loading drug boats and stuff like that to get the drugs over to the United States. And from what they're reporting, this is the first strike of this kind or any kind really from the United States over in Venezuela. Not sure how this is going to go over with the leadership of Venezuela, but I feel like this is definitely a top priority for Trump and his administration. And I feel like all cards are on the table when it comes to how they're going to deal with Venezuela. And, like they've been having strikes on boats since like 3-4 months ago. I think September was like one of the first strikes on boats. And they've seized oil tankers. And now they're going in onto the homeland of Venezuela and conducting drone strikes. And we'll see if this is going to escalate tensions even more than they've already escalated, because of course over in Venezuela the leadership there is going to be condemning these type of strikes and really try to get their base to support them as far as being against us over here in America. But again, I think this is one of Trump's main priorities, is to stop the flow of drugs being smuggled into our country. And these are the measures that he feels he needs to take in order to get that done.
They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
In fact, President Trump himself first revealed the strike, the first known U.S. operation inside Venezuela, in a radio interview last week.
They have a big plant or a big facility where they send where the ships come from. 2 nights ago, we knocked that out, so we hit them very hard.
Tonight, the CIA declining to comment on the attack.
The whole idea of using the CIA here means that the president doesn't have to go up to Capitol Hill and ask for the use of military force.
This as U.S. operations against Venezuela enter a new phase. The U.S. has launched at least 30 strikes against alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and Pacific Ocean. Overnight, the military sharing this video of a missile strike on one of those boats in the Eastern Pacific, killing 2, bringing the death toll to 107 people.
Over 30 strikes, 107 people dead so far. No, you have to no, I mean there has to be some huge incentives to jump on these boats. And now you're risking your life when you jump on these boats now. And it must be that they're saying they're going to harm their families or something like that. It has to be something real serious. In order for people to really risk everything, their lives, to jump on these boats and try to get these drugs over here to America. I mean, I know they're not getting paid millions of dollars to do this, but like I said, there has to be a threat to their families in some capacity for these people to really risk everything to try to get drugs over here to the United States. And I'm sure it's very, very profitable, but at the same time, man, you only really get the money once the drugs are actually, distributed up and sold. So, it's still, I mean, you may get paid a little bit of advance or something like that. I'm not necessarily too sure how the whole thing goes as far as how people on these drug boats get paid. But you know, from my understanding of how drugs are transacted, once the drugs are sold, that's when the payment comes in. So, man, that's a lot of people to lose their lives trying to get drugs over here into America.
The U.S. has yet to provide any evidence to prove those killed were smuggling drugs or posed an imminent threat to the United States.
Selena Wang joining us now from West Palm Beach, where President Trump is spending the holidays. And Selena, there's also news tonight on negotiations for a potential peace plan in Ukraine.
That's right, Whit, and President Zelensky was just
breaking overnight, a CNN exclusive. Sources say the CIA carried out a drone strike on a port facility on Venezuela's coast earlier this month. This is the first known U.S. attack on a target inside the country. Now, before this, the U.S. had only conducted strikes on suspected drug trafficking boats in international waters, destroying more than 30 vessels in the Caribbean Sea. You can see some of the images of what we've seen to this point, and this has typically been in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific. Now, President Trump first acknowledged the strike on a remote Venezuelan dock in an interview last week.
And we just talked out, I don't know if you read or you saw, they have a big plant or a big facility where they send where the ships come from. 2 nights ago, we knocked that out. So we hit them very hard.
I want to bring in CNN's Kevin Liptak, who's in Palm Beach, Florida, for us. So, Kevin, what can you tell us about this new escalation, really, at this point?
Yeah, and it is a major escalation. You know, President Trump has been threatening for weeks now to begin action on land in Venezuela. Now that we're learning that that has actually begun, it does seem to signal a much more aggressive phase in this pressure campaign on the leader there, Nicolas Maduro. Now, what sources tell us is that this CIA drone strike took out a facility on a dock on the coast of Venezuela where the U.S. government believes the gang trender Aragua was loading up ships with drugs for onward shipping. Now, there was no one in the facility. Operations are normally shrouded in secrecy, and unless President Trump had sort of let it slip in that radio interview, which I would note was with a billionaire Republican donor, it's possible that we may never have known that this had happened. And the president over at Mar-a-Lago yesterday was not particularly forthcoming about what all of this looked like. He said it was a major explosion in a dock area. He said they load the boats up with drugs, we hit all the boats, and that this was the implementation area. I was over there and I asked the president point blank whether this was a military strike or whether this was some sort of CIA action, and the president said, "I don't want to say that. I know exactly who it was." So you hear him there sort of not revealing any more details than he let slip in that radio interview. You know, the president did authorize the CIA to take action inside Venezuela earlier this year, but this is really the first we're hearing of what exactly they've been up to in that country. You know, the focus really publicly from the administration has been those strikes on the alleged drug boats. And yesterday, the Pentagon announced that they had struck the 31st boat. This was in international waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean. They say that it was transiting a known narco trafficking route and that 2 alleged narco traffickers were killed. But as with previous strikes, they didn't provide any evidence to back up those claims. That, of course, has drawn all kinds of scrutiny from Congress, who say that this could amount to extrajudicial killing. And so now that we know that these actions have begun on the ground in Venezuela, it certainly does signal that we're entering a new phase of this pressure campaign.
Wow. Just giving another perspective as far as the strike that was carried out on this port facility in Venezuela. And man, hopefully these people in these boats are actually smuggling drugs and not just innocent people. Which I don't know why you would be on a boat doing what you're doing, or going to where you're going on a small boat like that. But yeah, I mean, here we are. This is another phase of what they're calling war on narco terrorism, and we'll see where this leads to, what becomes of this, and if Venezuela has any plans to retaliate or anything like that. We'll see. Of course, they want to keep stuff close knit and really be tight-lipped about everything. But eventually, man, stuff leaks out, and then the public will get it. So we'll keep everyone updated whenever updates become available. And I'm gonna go ahead and close out this video here. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed thus far. Definitely have big plans, going into this new year. And just my main goal is to stay consistent and really just try to bring my opinion and the perspectives with my reactions to what's going on in the world, whether it's local or national, international, from crime to tech, whatever, just trying to definitely, just stay consistent. That's really my main goal, and just try to implement more things, get better with, like creating the content, editing, formatting, all of those things. And, it's been a great 2 months thus far. And, I'm really more, encouraged and enthused as ever to continue on with my journey. So again, I do appreciate everyone who takes time to comment, whether it's trying to leave feedback on like how my videos are, positive, negative. I do appreciate it all. I realize you have to have tough skin once you put yourself out here as a content creator. And you put your work out to the world in order to get eyes on you and stuff like that. So a lot of times that comes with praise, a lot of times it's going to come with scrutiny. That's just a part of the game. But again, I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed to my channel. It means so much to me. But I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Again, this is Justin Paul. Peace.